Hey everybody, Peter here. I just wanted to give a massive thank you to Charlie for stopping by and sharing an incredible piece of Pokemon TCG history. If you haven't already, please consider following Charlie on Instagram at Charlie Collects. And without further ado, please enjoy this incredible addition to his collection.
Hey guys, my name is Charlie Herlocker. I'm here at my friend Peter's place. I got some incredibly cool mail in, and I think it's pretty historically significant, so I just wanted to share it with you guys. And yeah, just kind of like I do an unboxing on stream. I've been so excited all day. Yeah, let's just dig into it because you're not here for me, you're here for this. So let's start looking. I've gone ahead and opened it ahead of time, just as a heads up. That has to do with, like, I honestly just want to make sure all the contents are there. Let me start by just telling you what you're looking at. This is the creature's gift to their artists and their corporate employees for the 25th anniversary. This is just an absolutely unparalleled piece of trading card history for Pokemon, but just in general too. Like, this is just like an absolutely fantastic recap of the last 25 years for the TCG. You know, almost none of these are going to change hands. You know, I can't even imagine how small the print run is, and also just knowing like the cultural factors at play and everything that has to happen in order to get this into the hands of a collector of the TCG. It's just like, you know, like rolling 6 on a die 100 times in a row. It is absolutely insane, and I think as we go through it, you're going to really understand like why this is so special and what makes this so cool. I also apologize. Like, I'm not used to making these types of videos, so if I end up like shaking the camera or if the mic is a little bit weird, there's going to be some glare as well, and I can't really do anything about that because I have like an overhead light on, and I want you guys to be able to see the cards. Like, that's my number one concern. So to start with, you have like this outer wrapper, TCG 25th anniversary. It's got energy symbols around it, and this was like around the whole wooden box. You remove that and you have this like just incredibly cool wooden box. It's got this pattern on all of the sides. So you pop the lid off. You have this inscription on the inside. I've got my friend Peter off to the side. He's going to be helping me with some of this. So Peter, if you can go ahead and Google Lens this. I don't speak Japanese. I'm going to be depending on translations today. What I will be doing is a full article on this afterwards. Bear with me for the video. I just really wanted to be able to share this history with you. You can follow up with the article afterwards, and I'll make sure that full translations appear for everything that's included with this product. So the inside of the box has this inscription, and I'm going to be reading off my phone, so I apologize, but it basically says Pokemon 25th card game. 2021 was the 25th anniversary of the birth of the Pokemon card game. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to all of you for your continued support. This time we'll send you 2 small commemorative items. The first is the blue pouch, which is our image color. Traditional craftsmen dyed energy marks and made them. The second point is the Pokemon card type corporate history. It was produced at the halfway point of the 25th anniversary of our establishment. The front side is a valuable vintage Pokemon card, but the back side is a company history. It is made to specification, and it includes deck shields, probably sleeves, and it is made to be played as a 30 card deck. If you're familiar with your skills, please try to play. We look forward to your continued patronage, Pokemon card games. Tsunekazu Ishihara, Chairman and Representative Director. So in the description, you already heard sort of about the 2 kind of key parts of the contents of this deck. So let's get into it and let's just start looking at some of it. So you open it up and you have this creature's deck. This is on sort of like a plastic insert. Plastic insert is super nice. It's really good plastic. It has like these inscriptions on the inner box. I'm going to look at the deck second. This is where we'll spend most of our time. So let's go ahead and focus on the bag that's inside. So it comes inside of like its own sort of plastic box, and this is incredibly cool. Like, this is, so it's super nice. It feels super nice. Has a really nice zipper pull. The design is obviously incredibly cool, but inside I know that it's actually even cooler. It has 2 pieces of paper, and this one is actually in English on this side. The story and instructions. Indigo originated in Egypt and was introduced to Japan in the 7th century. The first generation Tsurukichi started indigo work from 1837. However, its popularity has survived the invention of the synthetic dye in the 1880s. Indigo was created by a daily life of Japanese people. Once each household made their family clothes, quilts, and others from what was available at hand. Indigo has the strength born of necessity and hard work. Please relax and feel Izame, which is indigo. Due to the handmade quality of natural indigo dyed cloth, the color may change over time. We recommend that each garment is washed separately, the first few times gently in cold water with mild detergent or dry cleaned. Thank you from all of us at Nakajima Konya Indigo Dye Works of Japan. Obviously, this is going to go straight into storage. This is not going to be washed, God willing. But yeah, just it's super cool, and it includes the story. And so this bag is actually like real indigo, handmade, and it includes like all of these symbols into both sides of it. So this is incredibly cool just on its own. Like if the gift stopped there, this would be, you know, obviously one of the coolest pieces of, you could call it merch. I don't even know if merch is the right word, but one of the coolest pieces of, you know, like supplies that's out there. So super cool, like very excited to have that and to offer that. That'll be our background for now. So here we have the Creatures deck, Corporate History, 1995 to 2021. It has this like really cool like foil on it. You have all of the copyright information, which is just like every copyright under the sun. And then on the back, you have a brief description of the contents. And if you're looking, there's a spoiler right there. And if you open this, this would contain the cards in it. I've actually already taken out the cards and put them in a protective supplies, but also has pack of sleeves. This is just for the 30. So this is actually a 30 card playable half deck. And so these sleeves are the original back of the cards, and they are foil. So I've never seen these made before. I believe that they're only from this. There is actually a sleeve that is the back of the original card art, but it is not foiled. So that makes these, you know, unique. And I can't imagine a bigger flex than being able to get like 2 sets of these and be able to do like a whole competitive standard play deck in them. That would be crazy. As for mine, they're just gonna stay with this like set all together to preserve the history. This also has a small paper insert inside that shows some of the contents and sort of talks about playing with a half deck. And again, I'm going to make sure that all of the translations for everything is available online, and I'll have that posted as soon as possible. So that's super cool. Let's go ahead and get into the cards. So it really starts off strong here. So this is the first card, and we're starting off strong. You're immediately going to see like why this is so special. So what I believe will go on to be called like Prototype Chansey probably. And I want to make sure you get to see the holo. Let's see if I can find a good angle there. Yeah, so this holo effect is on all of the cards. So all the cards have the same finish. It's this glossy finish that's causing all of this glare. So it's got like a super glossy finish. The card stock is actually like a little bit thin. It's not, this is not standard card stock. It's close to it, but it is definitely a little bit thin. Some of the like earlier like pre-TCG cards just kind of like have like a similar thinness to them. But yeah, it has the glossy finish. It has like, they all have this holo. This is actually like the first time that like anything like this hasn't even been close to been done. So this is an actual prototype of like what they were theorizing these cards would look like. And what's really crazy, what's like so cool to see historically here is, you know, how much of this actually made it into the final product. I think that's really like, I mean, a lot of times prototypes don't look that much, like you have to almost explain sort of what they are, but you see this and you know immediately like this is a hand-drawn, this is a sketched Pokemon card as we understand them and as we know them now. So you flip that over, and on the back you have a few different elements. You'll have the year here, and then you'll have a small version of the front of the card, the reverse face, and then you have a description, sort of like what it is, the name, and the other ones will have like sort of the set that they're from, because a lot of these are like reprints, you know, from throughout the history, and they all correspond to the year. And so 1995 is before the TCG is being produced. So there's actually no copyright data here, but what you'll notice with like some of the later cards is that the copyright always matches like what the card was at the time. So the years match for the copyright on the front, and then the year that's listed on the back. I'm not going to go into like basically like my butchered translations of these. I really am just going to highlight sort of the art and look at the front. And then show you sort of like what this deck is. But, you know, later in an article, I'm going to break down like actual translations of all of these, but I don't think it makes sense to read them. Not in this video. Another common feature that you're going to see throughout this deck is this 25th embossed emblem. And this is on every single card from the deck. It's a 30 card half deck, so all 30 cards have that. As we get into the second card, I mean, this deck starts off super strong. Of course it has a Charizard, right? So you have, you know, your 1996. In the back here, you know, it shows the original TCG products. So you have the deck and the booster pack. And then the front is base set artwork. And so, you know, you can compare it here. This would be the English version. This is the Japanese version. So you can see it's actually like a pretty similar holo, at least within the photo. So same exact artwork, same illustrator. And then you can see the designs are pretty similar between the English and the Japanese one. And I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, so like how consistent the quality is on the cards, because we have a lot of people that like grade. And so I know a lot of people are curious, like, what condition do these come in? So I actually have like another, and this is why I'm confident this will probably be the only video that gets to do this. So this is the exact same card. I have 2 of them here. And so like, you know, I noticed like, for example, the top bottom centering was off. That was like one of the first things I noticed, but it's consistent between the cards. So I don't know if they're all like this, but I suspect that there's a really good chance that sort of like all of the cards throughout this have the same, and that top to bottom is the only thing that's like a little bit off. Left right isn't visibly off, but you know, the surfaces are in amazing condition. All of the corners, all of the edges are beautiful, no problems. So yeah, they come in beautiful condition. So yeah, you know, it's based at Charizard. I think it speaks for itself in a lot of ways. It's an iconic card. It's amazing to see it, you know, in this corporate history deck, because I do think that it's, you know, one of the most important, if not the most important card historically. 1997, we have a Rainbow Energy. So it still has the same holo, Team Rocket. On the back, I think this is super cool. You have these like illustrations of the original Kanto trio. And that's one of the things I love about this deck too, is that like for so many of them, like the back is everything, you know, enough so that it's almost like these may as well be the fronts. If you're coming from a historic perspective, you're coming from a playing perspective, you got to make this the front. But you know, this is like what I'm drawn to. Like just this history is just so cool and so valuable to be able to see that. 1998, you have Erica, Gym Heroes. With a holo, this looks amazing. Good to see a female trainer. We know historically those are important. A lot of people that collect just like the female trainer cards. The Game Boy Color, which is cool. And so because this is a creatures like corporate history deck, like a ton of the cards, the reverse is dedicated to sort of like the development of the video game history. Kind of like brings it all together and you kind of enjoy it all as sort of like one cohesive history, the TCG and the video game. Rocket Zapdos, Gym Challenge. And so they sort of highlight throughout this deck different features in the TCG as they were introduced as well. So you have like, this is like a gym owner's Pokemon, which is like a new concept at the time. Which is super cool. 1999, this is the reverse. And the same artwork, I think there's like Japanese promo. It's like a sealed like mini CD. Has really similar artwork. Not the same artwork. Double check. The 2000 card. So this is one I think is like one of the most important cards in this deck. It's so interesting. I mean, they're also important from a TCG perspective. This one's like really exciting. So you have Sneasel, and if you played the game, you know, back in the day, you definitely recognize the Sneasel because this was a big deal. It created a situation where you could have a deck that wins first turn. Not a very fun deck to play against, or even really to play. It definitely broke the game. Which ultimately led to this card being banned at the Super Trainer Showdown. So if you're somebody who follows like a lot of the Pokemon history and a lot of the releases, you have the giant promotional posters that look like jumbo cards. They look like a like the Sneasel, and they say like here they say banned at the STS, and they were put up at the STS to like announce that essentially like before people register their decks, like, hey, you cannot play this card, like this card is banned. That was a really big deal. But on the reverse, also have pictures of the Tropical Mega Battle, which is just so incredibly cool. Like to see like an actual trading card that is encapsulating, you know, one of the most important early events in the entire TCG world is so cool. Like to see this photo on here is just phenomenal. See the kids playing, like these are the origins. This is everything. Like this is it. So I think this is like definitely like one of the most standout cards sort of from this whole deck. I actually have a Lightning Energy. Some of the energies do feel like a little bit plain, but part of that is to, you know, they're really balancing a lot of concepts. You know, you have the history of the TCG, the history of the video games. You have, you know, getting one of every concept that comes in on the front. You have the fact that it's supposed to be a playable 30 card deck, you know, a playable half deck. So there's just so much going on like with this deck that sometimes you end up with like sort of interesting combinations. This is one of those cards from 2001, the Lightning Energy. And these histories, like when I can translate them and when I can get them into an article, are just like, they add so much dimension. Like there's a whole nother dimension, and they truly tell the story of creatures, of creatures and all the products that they've put out, and just really the whole history of everything. 2002, Crystal Energy from Aquapolis. This is one that looks really cool with the holo. And this one's really cool, I think, because the back it shows the e-reader tech. And so, you know, this is like the E-series cards. You could actually like swipe them through, and you also have the fact that it shows Gengar, which is definitely a popular Pokemon. This is another one where I'd say like the back I think is like a little more enticing than the front almost, just because you have that. But for 2003, we have a fighting energy, and I do think that like all of the coolest energy designs that were ever put into sort of like the packs, like the mass-produced like reverse holo, are represented in this deck, which is kind of exciting. So I think this one's super cool. And somebody else can provide like commentary sort of on like the video game side. I do think this is a deck that would benefit from like lots of people who get it, like covering it and sort of reviewing it, because I think different important things are going to pop out to different people. So even though I come from sort of like a TCG history side, I don't have like a super deep history on the video game. Like my knowledge is not great there. So I'd love to see this reviewed also from somebody who could just talk about the significance of all the video game stuff. 2004. Charmeleon. And this just comes from like a constructed starter deck. So it's interesting too, like they just don't even all come from sets. Like they just really pull from all over to put this in. There's like multiple, like, I don't know if obscure is the right word, but like minor sets that they've pulled stuff from, smaller product releases. And for a lot of this too, like I don't even feel the need to just like over talk or over explain sort of what these are. Like I feel like it's so cool, and really a lot of it speaks sort of for itself. 2005, this is one of the bangers in the deck, this Mew EX. Mew collectors are gonna scream. Legend Maker, 2005, have a Game Boy Advance in the background. And this is where also, so you can see like with the copyright dates, the copyright date each time it's present will match the date on the back. So you have the introduction of like EXs. Told you all those mechanics make it in. This is one of the other like epic energies. Hold on, Phantoms, reverse holo pattern. So cool. The greatest is yet to come as far as the energies go. This one's also technically a Charizard card if you follow appearances. So Charizard collectors actually have 2 cards they have to get from this. All right, here's another super cool card. So not only do you have Charmander 2007 World Championship pack, which is cool enough on its own, but on the reverse, you have the 2007 World Championships, which for TCG people, if you collect, you know, if you get into the Worlds cards, you know, the second most desirable, or, you know, hardest to get, I guess is a better way to put it, staff card is 2007. So 2004 staff card, obviously the hardest, is the number one, it's the creme de la creme. The first year of the World Championships as we know it. 2007, I don't know if it just had low attendance or whatever, but it, you know, it was the second hardest one to get a staff card of. So super cool to see just these events that, you know, I recognize to be super important to the TCG history. To see that, you know, on this card is talk about it forever. It's just so cool. 2008, you have another like one that's, you know, the competitive world is going to recognize, vintage competitive world. You have the Uxie, highly playable. So obviously this half deck is busted. And you got the reverse. And especially as we get into like the 2000s, you'll see like the video games are really like the dominating feature on the back, the history. All right, here's my favorite energy, the Call of Legends reverse. And these were, you know, I personally believe undisputed, like the best energy cards that were ever released were the reverse holo Call of Legends energies. You know, they put Pokemon in the background, just the silhouette is incredibly cool. It's basically like right now, one of the cards that I think is like really killing it is just the concept wise is like the character rares. This is like the energy equivalent of that, I think, in terms of like having like that full art. It's beautiful, you know, it's just fantastic artwork. And so even though this one's an energy, like I would put this in like the top half of like super cool cards, maybe even like top 10 from this deck. I could just sit here and just like appreciate those like, in themselves. And then of course, you know, you make it part of the rarest history deck in the world. Got something special. The HGSS borders, so good, just absolutely amazing. 2010, and again, I told you, I talked about like random constructed decks. You have this Snivy deck, and they do move around sort of like where the stamp is. So I've seen it, it's, it's here, it's here, it's here, sort of wherever it's like out of the way for the most part. This one features a Pichu. Another one where you have sort of like the front is maybe a little bit less exciting, but the back is really cool. It features a prominent Pokemon. 2011, and this is the last time that I like played the game. Big basics. You have the capital EX coming into play. Use of double colorless energy to just absolutely power up these massive fatty Pokemon. Just huge damage to everything. It was the name of the game. This is when like power creep was like the biggest concern. People were like 170 HP, that's broken. And this is to remind you that Wii was 10 years ago. Feel old yet. And this is another really good choice for including it in this deck. Really exciting. Next we have 2012. This is another one where I think the energy looks really good with the hollow foil. Goes well. This hollow would have made them look better when they came out. Reverse, you got more video game history. And also make sure to put really good images, like scans of these on my Instagram at Charlie Collect. Double colorless energy is definitely included to make this deck possible. Playable. Video game history again. 2014. Same story. I've included just to make it playable. 2014 we started looking at mobile games. Means we're getting closer and closer to Pokemon Go. 2015 is another good Pokemon. You have the Mega Mewtwo EX. This is cool, it's like the Japanese ones have the English flavor text, and then the English ones have Japanese flavor text, which I think is nice. I think it's cool. I like that they did that. And the Mega Evolutions is a new concept at the time, covering more for like the TCG history and all the different mechanics that were put into the game. And so you saw, previously it's a playable deck. So you have a Charmander, a Charmeleon, and a Charizard. And then you have like the Mewtwo and then the Mega Mewtwo. Professor Oak's Hint, or 2016, the year of Pokemon Go. Had to mention it. Solid trainer artwork. Another one that's, it's harkening back to the OG cards with its card layout. Tapu Lele GX, a very TCG defining card for the playability side. We're introducing the GX concept now. 2017, very similar to EXs, but technically different, technically unique. You have the GX token, the introduction of GXs. 2018 brings one of my personal favorite inclusions into the game. You have tag teams. I remember being at Worlds when tag teams were announced. They were coming to the TCG. Really exciting. Obviously the ability to see two great Pokemon on the same card. Sort of a novel concept for the art, but having these tag teams. There's all sorts of cool art concepts that illustrators got to explore. So I think we got a lot of amazing cards that we wouldn't have had without this concept. Really exciting. And it's obviously unique within the TCG. Detective Pikachu on the back. On our 2019 card. We have Aurora Energy. Another one that looks absolutely stellar. The Hollow. One of the better looking cards. Makes the most of that hollow pattern. We have a clip from Detective Pikachu movie. Alright, this is a super cool one. Full art trainer. The Marnie. Really good to see a full art trainer in this, because I think full art trainers are some of the most collectible cards that we've had. So I think getting them in here is just a super solid choice. PR25 on the back. Wow. Rapid Strike Urshifu V. You have the V mechanic. It's cool. It's one of this to me, they bring it back the Ringeki or whatever. Kind of like when the EX era, when the reverse hollows had the set name. Not exactly the same, but kind of like it. It's a great looking card, but this is one where the back kind of does it for me. It has all three of the backs, the back arts that have been present in the standard TCG since the beginning. You have the old style Japanese back, new style Japanese back, and then the English back, which is really cool for a deck that's, purposes highlighting sort of the history. That's the end of the years, but there's still 3 more cards. And so these are special interview. Like all 3 of them on the back have sort of like special interview details. And they talk about stuff. Like you have 3 trainers. You got a Pokeball. This is where the interview is with Tanaka and Ishihara. It's cool to have their faces on it. It's a great picture. Last one. This is the last card in the deck. Special interview card. I think is the coolest. It's like one of the top 3 cards in the deck. One of the only exclusives. It's called History Gate, and you see like the old art Japanese cards like swirling and then like years on them. This is a Koki Saito artwork. Just incredibly cool. Like to see, and especially like the exclusives to this deck, just make it out of this world. You know, card arts that we've never seen before. History that we've never been able to experience before. It's amazing. So all in all, that is the deck. I'm going to highlight again sort of the exclusives you have, you know, cards that you're not going to find this artwork anywhere else. You know, most of it is sort of like reprints in a sense, but you know, the backs are just phenomenal. And they look so cool together. You're like scrolling through like the rainbow of history. Just like one of the coolest products that's ever come out. I'm so glad that the creatures made this, that this exists. And I feel incredibly honored to have the opportunity to own this as and curate it really as part of my own collection. It's just a phenomenal piece of history that, you know, you can tell how much care and how much love went into every aspect of this, from when you're first opening it to the zipper bag to every single card, how much thought went into, you know, how in 30 cards do you highlight so much history, so much depth, tying together the TCG, tying together the video game, tying together, you know, every concept that's ever been introduced. You know, it helps that Pokemon does like stagger their concepts and like think specifically about like every year, like they introduce like a new concept. And so that definitely helps with like pulling this deck together. But, you know, I really stand by the statement that I don't know that we will ever see anything that is as historically significant to the TCG as sort of this product, and to know how rare it is as well just makes it an absolute home run. So everything in here is a grail, everything in here is a trophy, just phenomenal stuff. So I'm really glad that I was able to share it with you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and to appreciate this together. And that's really what the Pokemon TCG is about, right? It's just spending time in community and spending time together to appreciate these cards and appreciate their significance to us. So that is the Creatures deck, Corporate History, 1995-2021.